she's laughing in a way that no sound except for like some throat clicks are coming out.
Okay.
Hey, welcome to the 310 Quick Pod. My name is Chris Germain, and this is the famous Jen McMahon. We are filming a companion video today. This is going to serve as a partner with an article that Jen just wrote. It is called How to Eat, and it is embedded in a series called Surround Yourself that we have been putting out over the last couple of weeks. So, Jen McMahon.
Yes.
We're going to walk through what I would consider to be just an enormous conversation as far as importance goes. Importance.
It's okay.
It's so important, right? And it can be overwhelming. So you did us a great favor, and you wrote this like little piece to serve as a filter, as you put it inside of there. And that's kind of the language that we're using for all of the articles inside of this series. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the article?
Okay, well, as you know, there's a lot of information out there about what to eat, how to eat, exactly what you should be putting on your plate in order to reach a vast amount of different goals. So what this is meant to do is kind of simplify it for you. And instead of trying to change what you're doing every week to do this diet or that diet, it's kind of distilling it down to you to 5 main points that just they're the most crucial. They can kind of be overlaid over your whole diet, and I think if everyone did these, or at least the ones that ring the most true to them, that they will get where they want to go and feel really good.
Okay. So this leaves room then, like these principles are like a structure, and it leaves room to build off of
Sure.
different things. If I'm hearing you right, with these kind of things in place, and whatever you're going to do, it's going to allow for somebody who's interested in performance to pursue a specific nutrition, journey towards performance. It could also lay over somebody who's just interested in losing weight and looking better naked. Okay.
Absolutely.
And could this also be a structure for somebody who does not feel good and wants to feel better?
For sure.
Right. And I think you bring up a lot of times that the people that you talk with, a lot of the things that they're going through is digestive in nature. So like that's a certain segment that continue to come through you as well. So these principles then are like a filter that when you're deciding, okay, well, I think I'm going to choose this methodology or whatever, if it isn't circling around these things and touching on some of these things, it might not be the wisest thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Well, where do we start?
Well, I guess we could start with the fact that even though they're simple, not all of these things are going to be easy. Right? They're not something that everybody's doing. In fact, I think that if you were stuck and you were like, I don't know what to eat, you could probably start at any one of these and start making changes to your diet and see a difference.
Great, which is the cornerstone of what you are always talking about with people. Just like when we are in the gym with people, we encourage people to come into the gym, just show up and start with something, right? We just start somewhere and make a clear start somewhere. So I love the opening for you, that just finding something and beginning some momentum is an important part for you. Okay. Tell me as somebody who absolutely needs guidance. I look for you for wisdom all the time on ways in which I can be improving. And in fact, I will read this and use this as a filter for me. And where is a place, does your first point is eat real food. Mm-hmm. Is that the place that you would start most people, or was that just the lowest, not the lowest thing, but the thing that could be built off of?
Yeah, I guess I started there as it's almost maybe the hardest one, right? I mean, you're going through the grocery store or you're even sitting and watching TV or driving down the street, and you are getting pummeled by media out there telling you, try this, eat this, this is the best tasting, it's healthy for you. There's a barrage of marketing ploys to get you to eat whatever it is, right? We teach the kids in the schools, like, to be detectives and see, like, because there's these, sweet cereals out there and stuff, and they're telling you that they're more healthy, because they have whole grains and whatever. Should you believe them? Do we believe everything that we're seeing out there? So anyway, I kind of picked this one because it's the biggest and it's one of the hardest.
I think that's great, because it's almost like if you can start that conversation and just start with identifying.
Yeah.
Look at what do you eat inside of a day? Could you just look down and be like, okay, is this thing that I'm eating, is it real food? Is it manufactured food? Help me with that. Like, tell me if it comes in a package, is it real food? Or like, how do I discern that?
One thing I like to be able to see is, like, do you know where it came from? I mean, right? Sometimes you'll find fruit in a package, for example, like grapes, right? Mm-hmm. They're in a package. They might even have nutrition facts on them. So, okay, to say that's a packaged food isn't exactly what we're talking about. But do you know where they came from? Sure. A bushel of grapes. You know how they're grown. Okay. So that one is real. And then I love to take a certain food and kind of work my way down the pipeline on that. So, for example, like grape juice. Is that a real food? I mean, you kind of know where it came from, but it's actually not always what you think, because most juices are actually cooked. They're not just juice. They're not just pressed juices, which you see a lot of these days. But most of the juices you see in bottles that are sitting on the shelves that have been there for months and are still fine to eat, they're loaded with preservatives. They've been cooked before. They've been pressed. So they're not quite real anymore. They've been messed with. Yeah.
So there's an idea of perishable inside of there as well. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure.
So like if it can last months on a shelf.
Yeah.
Real food or not real food?
Yeah, not real food.
Not real food. In general, if it comes in a package.
Yeah, I would say in general, if it comes in a package and it has nutrition facts on it, ask yourself, can you tell where this came from?
Okay. Help me. I want to ask like 10 questions. How about this? What is a real food that exists in your house that's in a package that you're like, check, real food?
Oh, putting me on the spot. Well, like nuts. Nuts are in a package most of the time. You can find them in bulk and put them in your own bag, but nuts, almonds, you can find raw almonds in a package.
Okay, thank you. How about, so if it's like a meat source or a protein source, that's, and it's in a package that could be sitting on a shelf.
Right. You can kind of, again, go back to the question of, do I know where this came from? I mean, does it look like a chicken? It looks like a chicken. It's from chicken. I know where it came from.
Okay.
Just because it has a nutrition label doesn't necessarily mean it's not real, but do you know where it came from?
Right. And it has to be refrigerated, right? Or it's going to perish over time. So just that idea. Okay. Again, the reason that I think that's important for me is I'm trying to talk to my kids like that. Yeah. Because my kids are like, I'm eating this, this, and this. And I'm like, son, you love mac and cheese. So you had some mac and cheese. You had some crackers. You had some, like, there's this list of things. It's food to them, but I am just trying to start the conversation of, okay, good food, bad food, fruits and vegetables, nuts. We're talking about just introducing the idea of a macronutrient to them.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. Helpful. What's next?
Okay, balanced meals. So talking about macronutrients.
Ooh, transition.
Yeah.
I planned that. I totally planned it.
Amazing. So the idea that you don't want your whole plate to just be one macronutrient. You want to balance it out and have multiple things that are helping your body move and do whatever you want to do in the day. So,
quick question.
Yeah.
For somebody who just might not know, might not have that language, what's a macronutrient?
So a macronutrient is one of three things. It's a protein, a fat, or a carbohydrate. And those, sometimes foods have multiple macronutrients in them, but for the most part, you can kind of distill out what is mainly a fat, what's mainly a protein, and carbohydrate.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So your plate needs to be balanced with those three things.
Yeah. And we used to talk about like food groups, and that's still a conversation that we're having, but oftentimes that the food groups are actually balancing out macronutrients as well. So food groups aren't necessarily as important because for whatever reason, you might end up with multiple carbs on your plate because you're eating fruits, vegetables, and grains. And so you don't necessarily need all of those in every single meal. That's a lot of carbs. But that's one way we've kind of looked at it in history. But another way to simplify would be those three macronutrients.
Yeah. Tell me what, in this balanced idea, tell me what's a plate look like from your experience, all the time that you have with people, all the research that you've done on yourself and with other people. What do you think a plate should look like? Like a gold standard of a plate. Doesn't always look like that, right?
Basic would be like, a meat. It could be chicken. That's something a lot of people like. It's something that's easy to get. Some sort of vegetable. I'm big on vegetables, so some greens or something on your plate, like a broccoli, and then you can have. Well, that's kind of an interesting one because chicken has fat and protein, and vegetables are carbohydrates. So you might add, depending on what it is that you're lacking, you may end up adding in some more fat, like butter on your vegetables, or adding in more carbohydrates, like rice on the side of your plate. So that one's kind of a fun one because you can kind of play with how they have multiple sources in them. But I like to think too about like color. It's not even just about those macronutrients, but like making my plate not all the same color.
Yep. It's an interesting way to begin to start processing what a plate should look like. And I definitely want to give you a chance to talk about vegetables, or I'll parrot some things that you have definitely brought to us. Like a couple of years ago, I asked you on a podcast, I was like, before you worked here, we're just getting to know each other. I was like, give me one thing. Where to start in general with everybody? And you said vegetables.
That's right.
And everybody knows that it's important, but it's very difficult for so many people. It's like a very specific type of individual that naturally goes towards vegetables. And again, part of this whole thing is I think that we need to be taught how to do that. It needs to be handed to us in a way. It needs to be given to us in a way that we're like, hey, try this. It looks good. It tastes good. It is good. And then we're taught. We do it and we practice. We need to find vegetables that we like. Do you want to expound on that at all?
Sure. Well, I think I maybe even said this back then, but I found it fascinating. In my training, we learned hundreds of different dietary theories, and we even had to try some of them on, right? We had to try going without meat. We had to try going just a bunch of different ways. and like maybe a paleo, you know, that kind of thing. So we tried a bunch of different things, and we started to realize that different people felt different ways having different diets, but that we're not all the same. But one thing that I found super fascinating about this was that not all diets agree on how much meat you should eat. They don't agree on fat. There's low fat, there's high fat. There's just a vast number of different types of dietary theories out there. But the one thing that they all agree on is that you need to eat more vegetables. And so I found that to be super interesting. Yeah. They don't always agree on what vegetables, but they do agree that in general, we're not having enough vegetables in our diet. So that one was fascinating to me. And I find it true in just my day-to-day life, like looking around, people aren't necessarily fueling themselves with vegetables at every turn.
Well, and it also helps track back up to the first point. If you've got vegetables on your plate, you already know you're making movement towards real food.
Yep.
It is so helpful. So like inside of this game on what has Jen put in front of us, we get 2 right there. You know, it's likely that you'll know where to get chicken. It's likely that you'll know where to get steak or fish if you like it and you've already been doing it. That's a whole nother conversation about the person who has a tough time putting protein in their body and finding that. That's a tough one. But a lot of people know where to get their protein source, and they have a hard time filling up their plate. So good. 2 pieces. Anything else underneath that? Eat a balanced thing that you'd like to touch on?
I mean, the plate doesn't always have to look like what we see in the pictures, right? Where it's like there's 3 different sections and this one has our meat and this one has our vegetables. This one has some sort of starch or something. But it could even look, you can even, I know it's going to probably sound so lame. My kids would roll their eyes right now, but like fun creating a salad or something like that where they're like, only mom would have fun creating a salad, but it's true.
I want video of your daughters rolling their eyes when you say that.
But it's kind of true, and you can make salads with the same ingredients taste different. So you can throw in different types of lettuce. You can throw in different types of protein on top. I love to add seeds and nuts to my salads. You can top it with different dressings, add flavor. I mean, there's just so much you can do with a salad. It's really well-rounded.
It is exhilarating.
I'm a dork
right now.
Clearly. I know. It's true.
Nope. It's good. But enthusiasm, listen, Jen, enthusiasm is how we teach. That is the best teacher. The anchor in how I'm raising my kids and surrounding myself with people is I try to express how much I love to do various things that they may not at this point. And it's contagious, though. So exposing family, even friends, to things that you are doing, and it doesn't work to preach. And so I really enjoy like an exhilaration for the thing that I'm doing or why I'm doing that, and it tends to be handed off better. So
yeah,
I listen. I want to be taught from somebody who enjoys the experiment of the food. That is how I want that person to teach me that. So I was teasing.
Make a salad.
Oh, we should on our next show.
Okay.
Your separate YouTube channel. Welcome to Salads Are a Blast with Jen McMahon. I think that thing's got legs. That's good. Okay.
It's possible.
All right.
Okay. Next.
Your next point is eat a variety of nutrient-dense foods.
That's right. We kind of touched on this earlier a little bit in terms of talking about color, but the idea that I think this happens a lot of times when people get really serious about a diet plan, right? And I kind of don't like the word diet, but when someone you've seen it before, someone's like, okay, I'm going to eat really healthy. And then they get a bunch of those pre-packaged meal things and then like set themselves up for the whole week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, but they're putting the same food on their plate every day. So chicken, broccoli, rice, we already even talked about it. They're easy, you know where to get them. They're real foods. I mean, does that mean that they're the best thing to eat forever? No. And I've kind of run into this personally where I found something that worked. I had just had a baby and I wanted to lose some of the baby weight. And I was like, okay, I figured out this thing that works, and I did it every day. And it was awesome. I was like, oh, I'm feeling great. I'm eating healthy. And then I got sick of it, and I had no other ideas. Yeah. I was like, this isn't long lasting. I'm actually not getting a variety of nutrients. It's great at first, but then find some other things. So when you think about colorful foods, it's like, what kind of veggies? They don't all have to be green. Adding different blends of foods to your plate. And it doesn't mean that like you need to go buy 50 different things from the grocery store this week. I mean, it doesn't make sense, and you don't want all your food to go bad. But maybe next time you go to the grocery store, you find a new vegetable, or you try a new thing, or you cook something a different way, so that you're just getting the best out of what's out there.
Yeah.
The farmer's market is kind of a fun option too, because you're getting things that are seasonal. Mm-hmm. And so these things are being grown pretty close to you right now. And so you may find that something's better right now than it will be in the summer, or vice versa.
Okay. That's helpful. Next is eat less.
Eat less blank, right? So
eat less blank.
Yeah, you fill in the blank. The first one is eat less food. In general, I think we tend to overdo it. Our eyes are bigger than our stomach. This happens to me a lot. You just had a really good workout and you're starving, and you feel like you need to eat all of the things right now because otherwise you're going to be hungry. So I think one of the biggest mistakes we make is we just dive in and we're not even really listening to our bodies. We're just eating.
That's right.
So the first thing is to eat less food and just kind of being aware of that. It says here a good rule is eating till you're about 80% full. Some of that is that you don't even realize you're full until later. So now you've kind of overdone it and you don't feel good. But I think that the less is more idea here is great because you end up feeling better when you're not stuffed. It just can be a miserable feeling. So eat less food.
Yeah, we all have that thing for whatever reason. We've got this thing where we're like, oh, it's so good, I want one more. You want the sensation of full, but then you're like, why did I do that? Why did I eat that less thing? And so I definitely practice. Because I've done it so many times. I'm like, I need to stop here. If I have one more, I know it's going to put me over the edge of whatever it is, and it could be even healthy, healthy stuff.
Totally, it could be.
Yep. So trying to come away a little earlier than that.
Yep.
You also finish up here with eat less sugar. That's just this general ubiquitous principle out there. But at this point number 4 is great. All of these things, again, just filters in which you can put everything in. How much should you be eating? How often should you be eating? And it's just good conversations to have inside of here. Point 5, we go the opposite direction.
Eat more blank. Eat more what? What do we want to eat more of? Well, we already talked about one. We want to eat more veggies.
Right.
People don't fill their plate with veggies enough, so start there. That's one tip I have, is to fill your plate with veggies first. I had a cool experience once where I went to like a buffet. And it was awesome. And you go in there, you could eat whatever you want. And people also sometimes feel like they have to like get their money's worth.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The best thing I learned was to go fill my plate with vegetables first. And so I did. I went and got a salad. I got some steamed vegetables. And it didn't mean I couldn't have all the things that I wanted, but I kind of filled myself up with the nutrients first. And then when I went back, I kind of like was able to be a little bit more mindful because I wasn't starving. And I already made the good choices. So another one is just be more mindful. Just kind of being aware of what's going into your body, how quickly it's going into your body, and how full you're feeling as you're eating. Just pay attention.
Yeah, you say in here, breathe between bites. Put your fork down, chew your food, and enjoy it. I just think that is priceless. That right there is an antidote to what we kind of have a problem with in general in, a modern time that we're living in. We're busy. We've got to go fast, and we're just kind of in this fast mode. So even when we're sitting down to eat, even if it's good and it's healthy and it's great, like we're just like, boom, we just just hoover it up. And I think that being taught and intentionally slowing down to enjoy a meal is crucial. And so I need to think about it all the time. Truthfully, this article, of course, as you know, is for me, because if I could just take a pill and get all of my nutrients in, I would. I don't naturally want to spend time doing any of this. I just want to go back and do the things that I want to do. So I look for simple, quick ways that I know how much energy it takes. And, I tend to do that. But I know that I need to be, for longevity's sake, for the sake of thriving, which we are talking about all of the time inside of here, I need to be able to slow down. I need to understand my food more, and I need to feed this machine in a way that that is going to promote all the things that I'm looking for. I will accidentally go right past that, or I'll let that go past me or get too far away from me unless I understand that feeding the machine and eating better is the foundation of what we're talking about. I'm writing an article right now to follow your piece, and it is how to get your body stronger, how to make your body strong. And it's not just muscular strong. It's not just deadlifts and bench press. We mean have this robust, strong, functional, playful body that lasts. And my very first point inside of here is understand what Jen is talking about inside of here. Understand that we feed this incredible machine, the most amazing machine on the planet. And if we don't feed it, if we don't understand the chemical reaction that happens in our frame, if we don't bolster our immune system, if we don't feed it in a way that lets our brain function happen, as well as the muscular, skeletal, all the functions that need to happen inside of the frame, we're going to miss out on it all. So it needs this piece. And your piece is a great place to start. I love handing this out to people. Thank you for writing it for me. And I hope that it is helpful to somebody who might stumble onto this, or somebody who's in our realm. I hope this is helpful to you. If you're in our place, please read it, ask conversations, promote momentum inside of this thing. Did I say ask conversations?
I think you did.
I think I did.
Okay.
Ask conversations.
Okay.
What else, Jen? Do you have anything to button this thing with?
Yes. I guess the last thing I would say is, are there more specifics in here for individuals? And the answer is, of course, yes. Like, people are going to ask about, should I be eating dairy and gluten and all the other things out there that you're reading about? And many of those things are going to be so individualized that they would just take another step, But the idea is that if you can do these things and get started and just get to the point where you're feeling good, that you're already over halfway there. And then if you want to start figuring out the other pieces to the puzzle, then we can start having conversations about what's next for you. Like if you're really not feeling well still, like if you're still having digestive issues or something like that. Or if you're just getting stuck even getting started with real food because you can't put down the chips or something like that, those things warrant the next conversation. And that's where coaching comes in. Right.
Yep. That's where your expertise is, for sure. And if this is helpful to you, awesome. We love that. We love this content going out into the world and being helpful. If you need help, if you need more help, get in contact with us. Jen McMahon is amazing. And we want to be part of the thing that you're going after. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back.
Thank you.